Alright, Tri-Brigade Lunalight, Game 1. Like normal, this one's pretty one-sided, but it's a good showcase of what the deck's trying to do. Let's get started. We are going first up against Doom Z, and we get our Hammer Ashed in the draw phase. No big deal because we still have Leo, so we can still do full Lunalight combo even without the Hammer. It doesn't really matter because at any point when we would search Hammer, we can just search Revolt instead. The reason that I normally go through Hammer to get to Revolt is just to put more spell traps in the graveyard so that we can eventually summon Bucephalus to close out the game. Doesn't really matter if we can't do that. So we're just doing the normal Lunalight stuff. We bring back Kaleidochick. Kaleidochick sends Leo Dancer. Scale Tiger. Tiger brings back a body, doesn't matter which. Bounce the Tiger. We're kind of just trying to make as many links as possible because we're going to banish a bunch of the stuff that we're using as link material from Graveyard when we go for the poly. So right here. And we just wanted to get as much link material as possible before we did that. So we go into Mouser. I did position things a little bit weird. I like to have Liger Dancer in the far left column. I don't know that it matters too terribly much. I just am always afraid of Anima. I don't think Anima works on Liger, but like it's just a tick of mine. I always play around Anima because I have so many Snake Eyes players in my meta still. So they're on Doom Z. They start with Medius. I let them get the Power Patron. I didn't realize that Power Patron search. I'm still unused to the Doom Z stuff. I didn't realize that when Power Patron is destroyed specifically by any means, it searches any Doom Z cards. So they grab Raiders, which I guess is their best extender. Doesn't end up mattering too much because I can just stop the Raiders. They go into Typhon. We can't actually Shurag a Typhon. So my targets for Bucephalus here are specifically Ferrijit, Mouser, and Perfume Dancer. That resets the Perfume Dancer. But also Mouser is a Book of Moon that is not on a 3000 attack body, which allows us to book the Typhon, which means that then we can get rid of it. Unfortunately, they've already hit the surrender button and went into Typhon, and they know this one's over. So, you know, showcase of what the deck is trying to do. We play through the one Ash without a care in the world, and then we manage to just stop Doom Z. I don't think Doom Z plays through interaction very well from what I've seen. Like, it's a small engine that puts up a couple disruptions, which is not a bad thing to have or to be. But it's so normal summon reliant, and it does not play through disruption well. But, you know, maybe someone will figure out a way to make it go second. Alright, game 2 going first against Weather Painters of all things. This hand really, really sucks. Like, we never want Silverhound in our opening hand, and that's like forgivable if our only starter was not Masquerade. So we're going to have to do weird stuff to try and accomplish anything, and any disruption kind of kills us here. So we send Martin to grab a Lunalight Fusion, which at least gives us access to the Fusion. We send Hound. Importantly, I don't use the Hound effect because we don't have access to Poly right now, so any disruption at this point after summoning Hound locks us into Lunalight Fusions for the rest of the game, not just the turn, and we don't have a way to break that lock ourselves, so it's not worth the risk. So we go for Perfume Dancer, they imperm the Perfume Dancer. Crap, that kind of sucks, but at least we have Tiger to bring back a card so that we can at least do the full Tri-Brigade combo. We're not going to get Liger Dancer on board, but Tri-Brigade combo is pretty good, right? So we go into Mouser, we dump a couple of things, we summon Bearbrum, and oh, there's the Nibiru. Okay, well that at least lets us book the Nibiru and search Hammer off of Bearbrum, and then Hammer can get us Revolt, so we can at least set up the Revolt so if the opponent isn't killing us this turn, we will have tons and tons of follow-up, and we do have one disruption available. Okay, it's Weather Painters, that's weird, but Weather Painters is not going to kill us this turn, and they kind of fold the second they lose their field spell, so they have to go into Typhon. Okay, that's fine, we'll let you take our token, because we're going to Revolt on the end phase for Shurag. Because Typhon is on the field, we cannot use Shurag's effect, but we can use Mouser to book the Typhon so that next turn we can use Shurag's effect. And then we also just get follow-up out of the deal. Okay, well, they bring their card back, but all it can do right now is search, so it's not a big deal. They get forecast for next turn, so they are set up to actually play the game next turn. So we gotta make something happen, but unfortunately, we're, like, our Lunalight situation is still pretty trash even after all of this, because so many of our one-ofs have been used and like sent to the graveyard for no real effect. That's the Lunalight problem, is they don't have a ton of follow-up. So I'm kind of just making bodies so that we can make Tri-Heart, and like we get in for some damage, but we don't kill them this turn. And Weather Painters is really good at grind games, so it's unfortunate that we've managed to find ourselves in a grind game. They go Puri-Res map, they use the Forecast again. We negate Forecast with Silverhound. Thankfully, we have managed to set that up this time. Unfortunately, you can only activate one weather forecast per turn, but if the activation is negated, then you can do another because it wasn't activated in the first place. So they search up their third copy, and now they're off to the races. They go into Moonbow, which is obnoxious because it allows them to banish our stuff, but they try right there to banish Tri-Heart. And what they don't understand is that they can't do that because when this activates, it's in defense position, and Tri-Heart is unaffected by monsters in defense position. So when they activate it, even though it banishes itself, it still counts as in defense position for his protection. So they could get rid of Shurag for a turn if they want, but they cannot get rid of Tri-Heart, which means we're going to have follow-up, and because we're a Link deck, we don't care that much about the Tri-Heart, so we're going to manage to wipe their board. We managed to go into Bucephalus because we have 3 cards in the graveyard at this point. Bucephalus banishes their entire board the first time we swing, and that's going to make this lethal. So it was kind of stop and go there for a minute up against Weather Painters just because our hand was really, really bad. But the Tri-Brigade update is showing its strength here. We didn't really use a whole ton of the Lunalights. We used them for bodies. Thankfully, we opened the Tiger. But we didn't need to make a Liger Dancer. We just had to Shurag, Bucephalus, and Scareclaw Tri-Heart our way to victory. Cool, cool. And lastly, we're going second up against what else but Vanquished Soul Canine. No longer the scariest deck, but they start a real scary hand, and ours is okay. So they start with the Holly Sue and the Xiaolong, which means that they've kind of have everything. We stop the Holy Sue, but they're still going to manage to put 2 5s on board, whether we like it or not, and they also just have Case for Cannot. Basically, they have the best hand that this deck can produce. But we have an ultimate weapon. We have a single copy of Book of Eclipse, and Vanquished Soul Canine folds to Book of Eclipse. So we let them do everything. It's not like we can stop them. They do full combo. They get the Vion, they get the Ripper, they go into Nashonite, into Masquerade, into Nashonite, into Masquerade, and then they pass with the quick play in the back row, and we don't care because we just Book of Eclipse their board on draw phase. But we do now have to kill everything, or they're going to draw 3 cards. And unfortunately, they still had Izuna in hand, which means they can summon and go into Ripper, and then they can use Release to go into the big boy. Thankfully, we have Triple Tactics talent, so we take the big boy, and we haven't actually done anything at this point, so we can now just start our combo, comfortable in the thought that they probably don't have anything else. They have 1 card in hand. It could be a hand trap. We can't really play around it at this point if it is. So we just do full Lunalight combo with their werewolf on our field as nice insurance. So, we go into the wolf line just because our hand was a little bit weird. Well, our hand wasn't really weird, but how the combo had to work out was a little bit weird. So we go through wolf to actually summon Liger Dancer, and then I wasn't sure if that would work. So Liger Dancer destroys all special summoned monsters, and I knew all of these were special summoned. I actually didn't know if they remembered that while they were face down. Turns out they do, so we learn something new every day. So yeah, Liger Dancer wipes their board, and they're like, okay, that's like 15,000 damage on board or whatever this is, and that's gonna do it, so they scoop it up. So, you know, like, you can say that Vanquished Soul Canine is not the best deck anymore, because it's not. But it's hands like this that they produced when they were. So Holly Sue, Yokel, Xiaolong, Case for Canine, and one unknown, I suppose. Like, it doesn't get much better than that. And we managed to beat it. Thank you, Book of Eclipse. Cool? Cool.